That's just speculation upon a speculation.
Yeah,
speculation of a rumor. That's the kind of shit we're dealing with.
Welcome to episode 11 of The Idiot's Odyssey. My name is Fergal O'Connor.
And I'm Eoin Murphy.
And here are your headlines.
Josh Whedon has abdicated his Avengers director's chair, but will be avenged by the Russo brothers. A battle plan has been released for the Russo brothers' next film, Captain America: Civil War. And Idris Elba will play both a Star Trek 3 villain and a gangster rapper, but not in the same film. And Steven Spielberg will return to direct science fiction with Ready Player One.
So Joss Whedon doesn't want to play with his Avengers toys anymore. So it's been up in the air for a while.
Yeah, this has been rumored since I'd say about since December, January. I'd say where we didn't make a mention of it on our first podcast, but our first episode, I should say. But you know,
yeah,
it's been confirmed now by everyone.
Yeah, that the Russo brothers are stepping in, which.
Yeah, I mean, my feelings haven't really changed in terms of I still would have liked Whedon to take all of the Avengers kind of films, or at least complete a trilogy. But, whatever.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with this.
Oh, I'm still okay with it. I just
Yeah, it's like if these guys have enough material to keep making films of that standard.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did great work with Captain America: Winter Soldier, so I would have no problem with this.
Yeah, and Winter Soldier was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, completely. It does still hold up because I saw it was on TV today, and I didn't exactly switch off too fast.
Yeah, the weird thing about it is that they've already got a writing team together for this.
Okay.
And it's the guys who wrote the 3 Captain America movies and did work on Thor: The Dark World, and they created Agent Carter.
Right, so they're basically already well within the Marvel world. They know how the cogs are working and all this.
Yeah. Well, there is kind of a spectrum of work there.
It could be very interesting, but I'd imagine this will probably be Thanos' moment. As in, Thanos has been on the cusp on those shadows for ages. We thought we might see him for the second Avengers film, which is apparently now going to be Avengers: Age of Ultron, but it's more than likely he's going to be there for the Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah, because they've been building this up for a while.
Also, there's that, and it's like, there's the whole Infinity Gauntlet, the Infinity Stones, all this kind of thing,
I know you're saying words.
Well, Guardians of the Galaxy, the way that it's the Infinity Stone.
Yep.
Or it's one of the Infinity Stones is the thing.
Yeah, I remember a magic-y thing.
Yeah, and the Infinity Gauntlet is a completely different thing. And I think another one of those kind of gems is one of the main parts of Thor: The Dark World. So, this is all building towards that, and that's one of Thanos' things, is like the Infinity Gauntlet in the comics.
Ah.
So, yeah, that's more... I would be very surprised if it was anyone but Thanos is going to be the villain in the Infinity War.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, he's the big bad they've been teasing behind the scenes for so long that the problem is if they pay him off anywhere else, then it just feels like all that stuff being sort of limp-wristed. But if they're building up towards the very apex of what they're doing with this thing, then it makes absolute sense that he's been pulling the strings and a whole bunch of films up to now.
Yeah, so you think there's going to be some kind of twist where he's been pulling all the strings the whole time?
Well, yeah,
I know he was in for Avengers. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, he interacted with Loki a bit. Then there was he was slightly in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much all I can remember. But nonetheless, they are making
just enough
him the
to tease
puppet
us.
master.
Just enough to tease us, yeah. And of course, they do got a fine actor behind it as well in Josh Brolin.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Brolin, goddamn.
Yeah, he definitely pulled it off in a...
But I guess that does it for our lead story about the Russo brothers directing a Marvel film.
However...
Yeah, now we can move on to our other story about the Russo brothers directed Marvel film.
Well, this is a bit different because this is actually underway, right?
Yeah, Captain America: Civil War. It's underway real soon. It's going to start shooting April 1st.
So it's well into pre-production,
Yeah, which is the perfect time for them to start releasing their synopsis. So they dropped some plot details. Following the events of Age of Ultron, the collective governments of the world passed an act designed to regulate all superhuman activity. This polarizes opinion amongst the Avengers, causing two factions to side with Iron Man or Captain America, which causes an epic battle between former allies.
See, this is kind of clever because, they're changing the origin of the. Like in the comics, the Superhuman Registration Act is is somewhat different in that it's caused because of basically this catastrophic battle between that the New Warriors are a part of.
Yep.
Whereas here they're obviously just going straight from the other film from Age of Ultron.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it's clever, just because there are so many
Well,
ways.
it eliminates them having to do another thing after that, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
we see the scale. We will see the scale of the damage. Like,
I think it's just more a case of how do we tie all these films together, and that they can do so many things here. I mean, they could start this whole Registration Act plotline by having the Hulk get really drunk one night and fuck up New York.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah, it would.
I mean, it would work. Okay, right.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make.
No,
is
Tony, you did what? Oh, we went for a few beers and then no.
Yeah,
Hulk smash.
Remember that time he said he was always angry? He wasn't messing around.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the events of nearly any Marvel film could have sparked Superhuman Registration Act.
Yeah, but I think the fact that this is kind of worded like this, that it basically makes it sound like the damage is going to be so horrific that they're going to have to finally up this. Now, of course, we could see that the damage is pretty horrific based purely on the trailers.
Yeah, absolutely. But think about the Avengers 1 with the whole New York thing.
Yeah, but the continued to New York is another aspect.
And yeah, but the point is that was absolutely on the scale where they could have been like, whoa, these guys did a lot of damage. Maybe, we should make a list of these people with all these weird powers just in case.
Well, I think if it happens a second time, we'll definitely do that list.
Yeah, yeah, it's like that Thor thing didn't count, man. That's it. That weird robot in the middle of the desert, nah, son. They were aliens. They don't count.
Well, you're right. They wouldn't actually.
Yeah. But that's really it. I mean, we already knew for a while that Civil War was probably going to.
This actually sounds like a bit of a weird one, but like. Do you think that the Super Registration Act might be because of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch? This seems kind of out of it, but everyone else they kind of can account for already.
Well, not really, just because the idea is that
they can account for but they can already account for most of their identities.
Yeah, but all the people out there who are not part of the Avengers.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As in those kind of people.
Yeah, but I get the impression the Super Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. They're not exactly hiding in the shadows. Although Quicksilver never has to hide in the shadows because he can just run out and slap you in the face. You'll never see him coming or going.
Actually.
Yeah. But, yeah, potentially, actually. But I think as well, they could do it with basically anything.
Actually, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a way to spark off a plotline.
More of them could start coming out of the woodwork. Could be, of course, a direct response of the actual events within the film.
Yeah, I mean, in screenwriting parlance, that's just going to be. It's not even the inciting incident, really, because it happened in a previous film. It's going to be when they start trying to bring in the Registration Act, will probably be the inciting incident of the plot of that film.
Yes,
that gets things rolling. So, I mean, like it's more a piece of background than anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, Civil War is going to be very execution dependent, and I'm interested to see like how they handle that, because I can't think of a film that's had a plotline like this before, where a team.
There's no real villain outside of the government, and the government is everyone's enemy.
Yeah. Well, they have you can do that sort of thing, but the thing is, because they've been working together with the government before, there's going to be some very interesting stuff going on. And
do you think will Shield have anything to do with it, do you think?
Shield, absolutely. I mean, Shield's a huge name in the Marvel universe, but I'm just more interested to see how they structure the plot of the film, because handling something like this is and making it a satisfying dramatic experience.
There's also a very kind of thing that it's going to be it's going to be wordy, and it's also going to be a huge game changer for the entire kind of universe that they're dealing with.
Yeah, I can see it being wordy, yeah, but as well as that, they've got a legacy of massive action scenes that they need.
Exactly. Oh, don't get me wrong. He'll still have action scenes, of course.
Yeah, but I feel like they have been building up this sort of dissonance within Captain America for a while, between what the government is doing right now and how he used to do things back in the old days and how he feels about that.
Yeah, this was, of course, very well highlighted in Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Absolutely, yeah. And I feel like this film is going to be the payoff for that stuff.
Exactly.
And I really like that they're doing that. They're introducing sort of plot points in one film, or little hints in one film of elements to characters are uncomfortable with, or things that are going to be paid off in another film, which is definitely the way they should handle things. But at the same time, they're making each film feel satisfying within itself. I think it's really impressive what they're doing over there.
Isolated as individually, but still fantastic. But as a whole, it just becomes clear what the puzzle is. Idris Elba is apparently well into talks with Star Trek to become the new villain for Star Trek 3. Or whatever the hell that's going to be called, which will be directed by Justin Lin.
Sweet.
He's of course a very interesting character actor, and he's been brilliant in The Wire, which is pretty much the only film that I've seen him in which he was the villain.
Yeah, I mean, he was playing sort of a drug dealer there who was trying to maintain his legitimacy. Yeah, but he was trying to get legit, and at the same time he was just trying to be very, very coy and very intelligent. As in he had the front completely worked out. Yeah, which obviously that's the sort of thing that you can't associate with Star Trek, in that they could be taking a completely different approach with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think because at one stage Bryan Cranston was apparently in talks, or was rumored to be in talks for a possible role in Star Trek 3, and seeing as that we haven't heard anything about that, I'd imagine there's a possibility that it would be that Idris Elba would be taking over that role that he would have been in talks for, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, right now we don't actually know that much about Star Trek 3's plot.
We have no clue, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of out there. And I mean, J.J. Abrams is out doing Star Wars right now.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering how much he's supervising what's going on with the Justin Lin film.
I mean, it could be just Robert Orci, I think he wrote the script, didn't he? And before he left the director's chair, which he warmed for all of 5 minutes.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I would be interested to see this, because I think he has the same kind of intensity that Cranston can also bring to the same role.
Yeah.
In that they're both, in that kind of manner.
Yeah, I mean, when I think Idris Elba, that's the first thing I think of, basically intensity.
Yeah,
in Thor, he had that kind of quiet, statuesque quality,
and even in Prometheus as well, he's kind of got that kind of intensity, but at the same time, a kind of charm as well.
Yeah, which I think that was kind of illustrating another part of his character.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, yeah.
He was kind of playing the smooth talker there, yeah. And then you had the Pacific Rim, where he was very much a stiff military type.
Leader,
yeah. So Idris Elba, a man of many faces, one of which will be showing up in the next Star Trek film.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he can pull off many kind of different villains.
Yeah.
However, that's all just a rumor. However, but Idris Elba has actually been confirmed that he will be appearing as a gangster rapper in a film called The Trap, which will be directed by Harmony Korine.
Yeah, Harmony Korine, or
whatever.
Yeah.
Which, Fergal, you've seen one of his films. What was it?
Spring Breakers.
Yeah, and you were undecided.
Yeah, that's pretty much sums up my feelings on the film. I came out of it, and I felt like I didn't understand it. Harmony Korine, he wasn't creating a film in any sort of traditional sense. But the plot sort of...
but not in a good way, because you could say that, and that sounds like a good thing, but this It doesn't sound like you mean it in a good way.
It could be a good thing. It's just the problem is I didn't understand it. It's
You didn't understand what angle he was trying to approach it from, is it?
Yeah, and it's like without an angle, it's like how am I supposed to rate this thing that I don't understand?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like I'm either too dumb to understand his film. If I understood his film, then I might be able to say it was a crock of shit, or that it was fucking awesome. But until that time, I just I didn't get it, man.
Okay. Well, anyway, in The Trap, which he'll co-star with Benicio del Toro, and he'll be playing. Idris Elba will be playing the role of Rico, who is a gangster rapper, who Del Toro's character Slim had taken the fall for in a robbery, and. This is getting ridiculous, but Al Pacino will be portraying Slim, or Del Toro's parole officer. James Franco is also in the film, and he'll be Rico, or Idris Elba's agent, and Robert Patterson will be portraying a surfer or assassin, whatever, who's been hired by Del Toro to help with the revenge plot against Elba's character.
Yeah, take a deep breath.
That's exhausting to try.
Yeah,
there's actually a chart here in front of me.
Yeah, it's surprisingly extensive, but this it sounds very Harmony Korine in that the plot itself sounds like it lends itself to experimentation, which I guess is one of... I didn't say that, mentioned already the Spring Breakers was experimental, but that's what it felt most like.
It felt like you employed it.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about this, because...
Well, I'm intrigued by the cast. Now, Idris Elba is actually coming in, and he's replacing someone who dropped out. And that's Jamie Foxx, who originally had the role of Rico. So, I would still be very interested to see Idris Elba doing a gangster role.
Yeah. Plus,
again, like The Wire.
Yeah. Plus, I'm hoping,
although he was, of course, more of a businessman than a gangster, nearly, in The Wire.
Yeah. I'm hoping he kind of goes against type. Because James Franco kind of went against type in Spring Breakers. Where
exactly,
he was
that's what I'm
playing,
saying,
a really over-the-top gangster rapper. So I'm actually hoping that this guy will be kind of a subdued gangster rapper to kind of go against the expectations of how Harmony Korine would approach a gangster rapper.
Well,
based
I
on
don't
his
know if you can
previous
get a
work.
subdued gangster rapper. Is that a thing?
That's not a thing, and that's why someone should make it a thing. Because that's unexpected.
Well, needless to say, the cast is very interesting, even if the director has been spotty, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can even call him spotty.
He's been spotty or experimental, whatever way you want to call it.
Yeah, we're going to call it experimental, because I don't feel like I can judge this dude until I understand him.
Good point.
So next up, if you're tired of all those nights when there's nothing on the TV to watch, Disney are doing a little something to help you out with that. Or will be at some point in the future, because they're planning a live-action Star Wars series.
This is a rumour, isn't it?
This is a rumour.
This is just the strangest thing. Like, I kind of didn't know what to make of that when I first saw it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's you've like you were saying last week, they've got a vast universe to explore there.
The thing is, like you're saying, exactly, the groups that are further away from the main storylines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that could work, I suppose, but it's just the scale and the actual expectations for Star Wars is very high as well.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting because this rumor is surprisingly detailed for a rumor. It's not just like some crazy guy came out ranting. Oh. Apparently, the plan would be to shoot the show between movies, thus allowing it to reuse sets, which would suggest...
You see, I saw reshoot sets, and then I didn't go any further.
Yeah, well, that kind of thing would suggest that they're planning to tie it in with the main story.
That would make sense, yeah.
Yeah. Plus, I think their inspiration for this project is actually Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Of course it is.
Yeah, which ties it in with...
This is more of the Disney trying to pump out as much as they can out of one franchise at a time, and having multiple others to deal with this.
Yeah, although to be fair, if they're following the rest of Marvel's example, they're going to actually make it good.
I thought Agents of Shield was differently received.
It's spotty, but sometimes it's really good. Plus, there are elements of it that I can't get into that I actually really like. They go there sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't say where there is, obviously, but they do go there.
So, this will basically be, as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is to the Marvel Universe, this will be to the Star Wars universe, is it?
Yeah, where I think the idea, well, just guessing by the fact that they're reusing sets.
So they probably won't have any Jedis or anything.
It's
okay,
all...
that's again, that's just speculation upon a speculation.
Yeah,
speculation of a rumor. That's the kind of shit we're dealing with in our fifth story.
Of course, people could have a fair few boring evenings ahead of them if this is what they're waiting to look for, because apparently they want there to be hype for the show, and that can't happen until there are one or two new Star Wars films out in the open.
Well, you see, the thing is, you're going to get that within a year or two.
Yeah.
You're going to have all these films coming out.
Yeah, the impression I'm getting here is that they at least want to see how the films are received first before they pull the trigger on production. So that means we're probably looking at around Christmas, 2 years at the very earliest.
That would be the very earliest. That's what I'm thinking as well. Obviously, the earlier you make the series come out, then there is a chance for spin-offs, of course. And so you could have spin-offs coming off this earlier if it comes out earlier.
Exactly, yeah. And then the spin-offs get their own spin-offs.
Oh, jeez.
That's everything there is about it, really. It's a rumour, there's nothing about cast or production yet. But Disney, they put their film series in good hands at least, so hopefully they would do the same with their TV series.
Yeah, hopefully so. Here's Mulder! That's right, X-Files is in fact returning. As we had previously mentioned as rumours in a previous episode, X-Files will be back for 6 episodes. This has been confirmed by Fox, and it'll probably begin production in the summer.
I, for one, welcome our new 90s overlords.
Yeah, this is a callback that I'm all right with, because this will probably feel like more of an event kind of thing.
Yeah,
because there were always been talks that they would come back every so often to do a film.
Yeah,
do films and keep going like that.
And then they did that film that really had nothing to do with anything, which wasn't how they were going to.
I Want to Believe?
It was the latest one anyway.
Yeah.
Because then the first film was like Fight the Future, was it? Or something
I thought
that.
it was just called X-Files.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, point being anyway that
Yeah.
they kind of got off track, but I think if they're doing an event series, they might actually have a chance to explore whatever questions were left open at the end of the X-Files, which I don't know what they were, to be fair, but I know that the X-Files left things very open.
Yeah. Now, both Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny will actually be returning to their infamous roles as Scully and Mulder, respectively. So this is, of course, should be fairly obvious. Like, otherwise, you just wouldn't be, would it?
Nah.
Even if you got Robert Patrick back, you're always going to want the main two, you know.
Yeah, all that being said, Robert Patrick is awesome.
Yeah, that being said, yeah, that's true. But in even more good news, Chris Carter, the actual showrunner for the original series run, will also be returning.
Yeah, and I mean, the X-Files was sort of a sensation.
Yeah, it was massive, like.
Yeah, plus I feel like TV
and it's still got a massive cult following, like.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, people love the shit out of that show. And, I mean, I still feel like TV was quite different back in the 90s
Absolutely,
from what it was
today.
today. So I'm
because
interested.
the thing started off as more individualised and episodic, and then it got more serialised as the thing went on.
Yeah, a lot of TV shows end up like that, because I think they have this concept, and then people are still watching, but they realise that they've got to change the concept.
They got to create an arc, like, yeah.
Yeah, because the concept itself cannot carry the show without leading to repeating themselves.
Fan of Jennifer Lawrence? Fan of Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique? Well, tough shit. Because Jennifer Lawrence has said that X-Men Apocalypse, which will be coming out in 2016, will be her last X-Men film. This isn't a major surprise because I think I have a feeling that they're probably wrapping up the series at this stage, right? I mean, that kind of trilogy.
I don't think the studio... Oh, yeah, they're wrapping up that trilogy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see them keep going, but I could easily see her going rogue for a while or something to explain why her character would be there. Or even, do you think they could kill their character off?
Well, just throwing this out there, it is Mystique.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so it's like they can basically make her whoever they want. I mean, did they throw in a little Rebecca Romaine cameo in one of the first class?
Yes, they did, yeah. In the first class, yeah. No, yeah, it was first class, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, with time travel and all, is it possible to kill for Mystique to die in it? If she's...
Yeah, I think so, but I don't think that's the route to
Yeah,
take.
no, I don't think they will take that. But like Apocalypse is a massive villain in the things, and he's also incredibly powerful. So, if it's anything, that would be a kind of a final kind of hurrah for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, like it's the perfect place to put a capstone on the trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the same reason that Avengers is heading towards Thanos.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, for people who missed the stinger at the end of X-Men: Days of Future Past,
you would have missed the after credits scene.
Yeah, where basically they were showing Apocalypse building the pyramids.
A young Apocalypse, yes, and
with his mind.
Mm-hmm. And you also saw a glimpse of the four horsemen.
I missed the Four Horsemen.
Just in the distance, actually, you can see them on the horizon.
Ah,
but the actual male or sorry, the adult version of Apocalypse will be portrayed by Oscar Isaac in the 2016 film, so that's good.
Yeah, which Oscar Isaac has been absolutely ripping it up lately.
Yeah, in every sense of the word.
Yeah, I mean, there was Ex Machina, there was The Most Violent Year, Drive, yeah. Very diverse actor, very talented actor, massive charisma, really excited.
And of course, he will also be playing a character in Star Wars Episode 7.
Yeah, so I mean, he is blowing up right now in terms of his career.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the new up and coming ones, really. And he's really getting into bigger roles, like. Yeah,
plus
forefront.
Given that diversity and that charisma, I'm excited to see him play like this interesting idea of a millennia old villain.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things with Apocalypse is that he's really arrogant, and yet he's got this thing of like the strongest must survive.
You may have seen Moby Dick. Well, it's time to prepare for Moby Dick in space. So Neil Blomkamp and Simon Kinberg are after setting up backing to make a full-length feature behind an Irish short about fucking hunting space whales.
Yeah, and that's not like a metaphor or anything. These are actual whales in space.
Yeah,
being hunted.
I can't help but think that someone was really high when they came up with this.
Yeah, it does look like that. I was kind of watching it. It was like, God Almighty, what have I taken?
Yeah, it's anyway. This what's going on here is there was a short film called Leviathan that the Irish director,
which we'll try and link to the.
Yeah, the link to that's going to be in the show notes if you want to go watch that, which I highly recommend because
it's only like 3 or 4 minutes long, not even 4 minutes, you know.
Yeah,
so it's
Number one, super short to watch. Number two, I cannot believe that this thing was done in a shoestring budget, and it was entirely made in CGI. It looks phenomenal.
It looks very good in terms of like. It looks like practical effects for most of it, like.
Yeah,
especially the start of it. You know?
I can't believe what they got away with. Basically, like it feels like they broke the computer somehow. Like that, like they must have melted multiple hard drives processing this thing. Like the plot synopsis just story is set in the 22nd century when man has achieved the ability to travel faster than the speed of light, but only through harvesting of exotic matter from the eggs of the largest species mankind has ever seen, which is done by slaves. Robertson admitted that it was partly inspired by Moby Dick.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, but there was no exposition.
Yeah, like it was all done visually.
Outside of a nice little bit at the start, which was just words.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which only lasted a few seconds anyway, so, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it was all done visually. Like, I think what they were showing was an amazing action scene. I mean, like, you could have a reasonably generic script. And action screen, I would just go to see action scenes that looked like that.
Yeah, it was very well done.
Yeah, it was, oh god, it was good. It was unbelievable.
So we would like to see, I suppose, that on a grander scale. And I guess we're going to see that.
Yeah, plus Jim Ools is writing, the guy who wrote Fight Club, so I suspect the script isn't going to be generic.
So if that hasn't got you yet, then boom.
Yeah, there's a lot going for this thing. No word yet on whether Greenpeace is planning to protest the set of the film.
I'm sure they'll be able to make a fuss even if the things aren't real. And now we'll be talking about a Will Smith and Margot Robbie film. And no, it's not Focus yet.
Yeah,
it's Suicide Squad.
Which I always feel a little guilty saying that title just because it's so dark for a mainstream film.
It is a pretty dark concept even, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds more like something that would be made in a back alley in Japan and like it'd come out in some cult label over here.
Yeah.
But at least there's good news coming out of the Suicide Squad camp.
Which makes you wonder if they'll actually change the name in other countries, but that's not the point, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But they may be getting Jackie Earle Haley to play their villain.
That's a fantastic one.
Yeah, which Jackie Earle Haley played... Well, he played Freddy Krueger in the god-awful Nightmare on Elm Street reboot, but he also played Rorschach in Watchmen.
Yeah, he was fantastic in that.
Yeah, I mean, he killed it. I mean, the guy's got charisma to burn. He can absolutely play a character in this sort of cinematic universe.
Has this actually been said that he was being lined up to play the villain?
The rumours are that he's going to be playing a character called the Thinker, who originally was a villain in the comics, so the chances are they're going to be following the same path here.
That makes sense, I guess. But what's the story with Joker, I wonder then? Will he be working with him, or is Joker actually just like a side guy?
I think in general that Joker is a part of the Suicide Squad. From the research.
Oh, really?
Maybe I'm wrong on this one.
Because I thought he was just going to be like in the background or something, and like to kind of link Harley Quinn, and then to like bring in Batman.
Potentially, yeah. But I mean,
because he's not traditionally been a part of the Suicide Squad in the comics, I think.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm misinformed then.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what way it'll go. Like you said, it's all about making the best kind of film.
Yeah.
And from Batman's great nemesis, the Joker, to Superman's great nemesis, Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg, who has, of course, already been confirmed to be playing Lex Luthor in Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, well, it's recently been released pictures of Jesse Eisenberg bald. Obviously, he's getting into the role of Lex Luthor for his nice bald head.
Well, either that or they're going super dark and gritty with this one, and he's going to tattoo a swastika on his scalp.
That would be a bit of a twist, anyway.
Yeah.
But there's not really much you can say about this. I mean, it would have been more news if he hadn't shaved his head.
Yeah, I mean, Lex Luthor, he kind of has that iconic look.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've got to... I feel like this is the easiest way to go about things.
Yeah, it really is. As in, like, oh, which one's Lex Luthor? The freaking bald one.
Yeah.
So yeah, as in, and he does look fairly intimidating with it, or intense at the very least.
Yeah. Plus, I said this before, but his head is shaped exactly like Matt Damon's head, and I never realised this until now because it was buried under like masses of curly hair.
Yeah, as in the way it kind of ends in a point.
Yeah, it's I just looked at that and I was like, oh my god, they have the exact same head, which that is never a thought I've had about two people before.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one for.
So the actors in the Deadpool movie are breaking the fourth wall before production even begins, with Marina Baccarin's tweeting from the set.
Lovely.
She tweeted a picture of her chair, which had a picture and the name of her character on it.
Again, we'll try and get the pictures in the show notes.
and it was Copycat, who her full name is Vanessa Carlyle.
And she's a shapeshifter, I'm going to guess purely on the name.
Yeah, a shape-shifting mercenary who falls in love with Deadpool, and then Deadpool breaks up with her when he learns he has cancer. Is
Nice.
a storyline in the comics. I think it's safe to assume that she's going to stick with the shape-shifting.
Yeah, that's probably a given. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if they're willing to go down the whole rabbit hole with.
well, wasn't she supposed to be like she's supposed to be the romantic lead, the romantic atonement anyway? So
I'm talking more about the bit where,
how as in the backstory within the comics.
Yeah,
They might not do that purely based on the fact that they want to be different, I suppose.
yeah. Plus, the obvious things that we always say about you got to change it to make the best film you can. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to change it, but you try to make the best thing you can.
Yeah, like we said before, Marina Baccarin, she's awesome.
My only problem with this story now is that if she's a shapeshifter, it means she could change her shape, and like I'm completely satisfied with her shape.
Yeah, Owen's just got all these pictures around his room. With
No, I don't.
It's just Marina Baccarin surrounded with little
No, I
hearts.
don't. Shut up.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, like Marina Baccarin's awesome, and she can. If anyone's going to handle this sort of part with both a sort of either a hard-edged hero or a villain with a soft side.
Yeah, I think this is basically the same things we were saying when she was originally cast.
Yeah.
So this, yeah.
It's like, we believe in Marina Baccarin, and that's that.
So, Steven Spielberg will be returning to science fiction direction with the direction of Ready Player One, which is based on the 2011 novel of the same name, and it's based in the not too distant future in which people have become obsessed with virtual reality universe. So they're basically living well within their technology. This is a remarkable similarity to right now, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, this Spielberg kid can do sci-fi. He can also do War of the Worlds and AI, so I suppose...
he knows what he's doing, like,
yeah.
I mean... He's possibly one of the best directors of all time, you know?
Yeah, I don't feel like he's been hitting it out of the park.
No, not lately, but
yeah.
You never know. A return to form is always possible.
Yeah, I mean, this is Steven Spielberg. I like to believe that the director he once was is still in there somewhere.
Yeah, very much solid hands, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's Steven Spielberg. It's always going to have its good points.
Yeah, and do you think this will have, like, a kind of an underlying moral message or something to get your head out of your phone?
I think that's probably the most boring message they could come up with.
Yeah, that's the problem, like...
Yeah, I mean, there are way deeper places you can go with that. I mean, have we talked about social media addiction yet? About
it's not something we brought up.
Yeah, or no, I'm just talking about.
Yeah, I know what you meant. Like.
Yeah, like about this idea of the avatar of a person becoming
Exactly,
sort of
yeah,
what a person's ego is involved with, as opposed to what they're actually doing.
Yeah, as in, like, how much does your online self represent yourself?
Yeah, which I feel like there are questions that have been done, but I also feel like there are questions that could be done better than they have been.
Yeah, exactly, and it'd be interesting to see how Spielberg approaches this, and you know.
Yeah, the way I'm looking at this is like sort of it sounds a bit like Tron meets The Social Network.
Yeah, to an extent, I suppose, but I guess we'll see, as in how far into the virtual reality will he actually go, like.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that has been consistent throughout Spielberg's sci-fi is that things have looked absolutely unreal. I mean, even in War of the Worlds, like the design on those robots was fantastic.
Do you think, to an extent, he almost makes his science fiction films, to an extent, almost too child friendly? You could say that with E.T., War of the Worlds, and artificial intelligence.
Potentially, yeah, but I mean, Spielberg, I feel like he does a little bit for everyone.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's constantly thinking about the audience, maybe slightly to the detriment of the film at times, but I feel like his heart has always been in the right place.
Yeah, they're very much heartfelt films. So I guess we'll see how Spielberg does it, and does with Ready Player One, and I guess we can only judge it once it comes out.
Yeah, watch the space. Well, coming back from the future to the present, Gemma Arterton is set to star in She Who Brings Gifts with Paddy Considine and Dan Close. Now, this is based on a book by M.R. Carey. But what really excites me about this is the plot, which is it's the story of Melanie, a girl who is full of questions about the world. Every morning, Melanie waits in her cell to be collected for class. When they come for her, Sergeant Parks keeps his gun pointing at her while two of his people strap her into the wheelchair. She thinks they don't like her. She jokes that she won't buy it, but they don't laugh. Melanie is a very special girl.
All right.
Yeah, holy shit. Now that is a concept that like immediately hooks you.
Yeah, it's certainly an intriguing kind of thing there. Yeah.
Yeah, plus Gemma Arterton, she's done this sort of captivity thing before.
Okay.
In The Disappearance of Alice Creed, which was an indie that was very well received, where she's kidnapped and locked up in a room and tied to a bed.
We don't actually know really much of the concept here, like, do we?
Well,
we don't.
We know it's going to be weird. I do like weird. I like weird a lot.
All right. Yeah, I get with that.
Yeah.
But, you sick bastard.
Yeah. Well, I think though Gemma Arterton, she's highly capable of taking this sort of the practicalities of this sort of upbringing that this girl has had, and like kind of really exploring them.
Well, she can play the captive kind of thing.
Yeah,
torture captive.
Well, more than that, I mean, she like The Disappearance of Alice Creed. I mean, that looked fucking rough to film. Because I mean, she was tied to a bed for so much of it. Like it was pretty nasty, and I mean, like maximum respect to her for like kind of taking on that acting challenge.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and I think if anyone's capable of sort of it sounds like there's a lot of physicality within this role again.
Oh yeah. So no, you definitely sounds like it.
Yeah, like in terms
based
of
even on the description there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that she's the sort of actress who can really bring that to life.
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with you, yeah.
Well, here's a sentence I thought I'd never say. Sony wants to remake Romeo and Juliet as a 300-style action film. They're after picking up a script called Verona.
For God's sake.
Yeah. Which is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, which is reimagining the classic love story through the lens of an epic 300-style world.
I what? I mean, I get that there are families like at war or like in conflict in Romeo and Juliet or whatever, but this is just like a 300 style one is pushing it, I think.
Yeah, at that point I feel like maybe the Romeo and Juliet story goes on the back burner, because I feel like with that sort of action, it really becomes the central focus of the film. I don't feel like. What surprises me about this is that the love story and the action story don't really feel like they glue together.
No, that's the thing. It just feels like it just feels like an awkward kind of combination. It is square pegs in round holes.
Yeah, but then again, as I've often said, I am excited to see if it does work, how they approach the challenge.
It's an interesting little experiment, I suppose, but it's kind of. Like, how the hell did they approach this? Like, and how many people actually in the room said, "You're ripping the piss," right? I mean, this is just what?
Yeah, I don't know what to blame this on. Really, it's
corporate greed.
Yeah, but it's not corporate greed either. Because if it was corporate greed,
it would just be a generic kind of thing coming out. Like,
yeah, like it'd be the safe bet. I don't feel like Romeo and Juliet mixed with 300 is a safe bet unless they're thinking we'll get the male audience or the female audience. What could possibly go wrong?
That sounds more of a risky bloody idea than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see how this goes. Apparently, they've seen something in the script Verona. So,
Must be something in a...
yeah, I'm kind of fascinated now to see how it turns out, or what the central conceit is. That
You're kind of interested in the same way that you're interested... you can't take your eyes off a car crash.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I was trying to come up with a clever headline for this, something linking 300 Romeo and Juliet, and I couldn't. And it's like, that's what's interesting to me. It's like, what's the common thread that they found between the two that united them? Like, who did this? I mean, like, were producers, were they playing Mad Libs? Is that what went on behind the scenes?
Were they just throwing random darts or something? I don't know.
Yeah,
On a concept board.
I like to think they have a magic 8-ball with like 600 stories inside, and it's like Romeo and Juliet.
They have to have a bunch of combinations of them.
Yeah,
a lottery machine maybe.
I have no idea where this came from or where it's going, but we'll keep you posted as more shows up on this, whatever it is.
If more does show up, like.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper is in talks to make his directing debut with a remake of A Star Is Born, which is a remake of the 1937 film, which was remade in 1954. This thing has been remade a few times, and here's another one. And it's apparently this is with Warner Brothers, and I guess we'll see how that works out anyway. Because it is actually it is a musical, the original one. So,
yeah, I've got to be honest, I probably won't be seeing how this works out.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge musical guy.
Yeah, neither am I, and so like it would be interesting to see how he manages it, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm like, musicals. It's just like, you know what it is? It's action films for people who are not actually into action. In that people want to watch people sing. I'm like, it's detracting from the reality of the story. When people just want to watch the singing. In the same way, I feel like a lot of times action detracts from the reality of the story. But people are willing to watch it just because the action looks so cool. I mean, like, it's different strokes for different folks, but I feel like I can get behind the acting. I feel like that's my poison, and singing just isn't really my bag.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's even more interesting is the fact that this could possibly be a possible part one of a three picture deal that Bradley Cooper and Todd Phillips, that is the director of The Hangover and all that, have with Warner Brothers. So a three picture first look deal, that is.
Yeah, A Star Is Born, though. Really,
I know this seems like a bit of an odd one, but also what's even stranger is that to direct something that's already been established as like really like well done already for your directing debut is a bit of a risky kind of strategy. Whereas if you were to direct something original, then there's nothing to compare it to, you know.
Yeah, but then again, I assume they've got some sort of original vision for the project, or it could just be that okay, this is pure speculation again, but maybe they already have a vision for the project.
Yeah,
and they've got a team behind it, and they're because.
Are you saying he's just going to be used as a puppet of some kind?
I'm thinking like that. Let's just not call him a puppet. Let's just say that maybe they're easing him into the director's chair with a quality team of people who know what they're doing. Of course, this is all speculation. Maybe Bradley Cooper has a really special vision. Are you ready for Heroes in a Half-Assed sequel? Because that's what you're going to be getting with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
As if the first one wasn't half-assed enough.
Which will begin filming next month in New York City. It's a sequel to Platinum Dunes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm like, whenever I see the word Platinum Dunes, I automatically think Michael Bay and all those crappy horror remakes, and just
is it the same director?
I don't know.
Well, the thing that's almost most disappointing about the first one is that Michael Bay didn't direct it, and yet you somehow got someone who was a director who wanted to be Michael Bay. That's almost horrifying for me.
Let's see. All signs are pointing to Megan Fox returning as April O'Neil and William Fichtner as Eric Sachs. I love William Fichtner, so I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, grand.
Rumours floating around that Rocksteady and Bebop may even appear in a new movie.
Yeah, this was rumours after the first one even.
And apparently 2014's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles grossed more than 485 million worldwide. So,
yeah, of course it was always going to get a sequel. Like,
yeah, in a way it's the goose that laid the golden egg. It's just, it's a bit more like the goose that laid the golden egg and then took a shit on your couch.
John Travolta will be doing his best Liam Neeson impression as John Travolta will now be doing his own revenge action film, where he'll be directed by Chuck Russell called I Am Wrath. Right. This like sounds something like Taken and John Wick, because John Travolta will play Stanley Hill, who goes on revenge hunting after corrupt cops fail to capture his wife's killer. So yeah, basically it
sounds like a cross between Taken and what was that Gerard Butler thing, where he was playing a guy who went into prison and it was taking revenge on all the people who couldn't stop.
Law-abiding citizen.
Law-abiding citizen, yeah.
Yeah, I guess right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, again, John Travolta goes through these times where he gets like critically panned, and then the next time he just does something brilliant and everyone loves him again.
Yeah.
So this could be very much like the same way of Pulp Fiction, or even the same way John Wick was for Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, this could be like a new Pulp Fiction for him, or it could be Face Off.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah. But Chuck Russell is directing it, and I mean...
Chuck Russell, also known from the stellar classics like The Mask and The Scorpion King.
I'm really hoping they go over the top.
Okay.
So, we've got about a zillion trailers to get through this week.
Yeah.
So...
First one first, I suppose. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, first of all, yeah, I suppose the obvious thing to state is that they completely stood on Disney's toes by naming it Rogue Nation only not long after Disney announced that the Star Wars standalone would be called Rogue One, which we were praising for its uniqueness only last week. Yeah, exactly. Except he didn't really stand on Disney's toes so much as Disney stood on their toes, because apparently they registered last year. And I think they've been biding their time with this one, just waiting to, because Star Wars took their Christmas release day,
yeah,
and now they get to kind of trample all over Star Wars' name,
yeah.
So I mean, I feel like there's a certain amount of pettiness.
Yeah, definitely.
Involved, or maybe Rogue Nation has been in the works for a while, and maybe Disney were the aggressors in this one, or the ones like just not doing any bloody thinking.
Yeah, definitely. And so, what did you think of the trailer? Because there was a good bit of action and comedy in it,
there was action, there was comedy, everything looked sufficiently Mission Impossible, but until my ass is in that, I didn't see anything that would like. Yeah,
nothing was super convincing.
Yeah,
but it does look like it's anti-IMF kind of agents are a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Mission Impossible trailer, all right, but I just don't feel like it was a new film trailer. I feel most of those scenes you could have thrown them into any of the past films and they wouldn't have felt out of place.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remain hopeful. It is Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise, and the last thing they did together was Jack Reacher, which was pretty fantastic.
And I think, is it scheduled for 31st of July release date?
But sometime this summer anyway.
Yeah. Jason Statham is out of the Transporter series, but Ed Skrein will be taking his place. He's still playing the same character, but this looks somewhat like a prequel. But it was basically just a dumb action film, to be honest. It's the Transporter Refueled. It's the name of the film, and I guess we'll see how it works out. But
yeah.
it's It just does look like just a dumb action film, like, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well, there is one thing in that Jason Statham was kind of a font of charisma that the whole film kind of hinged on.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how Ed Skrein kind of handles taking over that role.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Ed Skrein is quite the same capability in terms of like holding us captive as Jason Statham, who usually plays the straight kind of plays a straight lace, but his lines are somewhat comedic by themselves, you know.
Well, to be fair,
unintentional comedy almost, you know.
Yeah, from what we saw in the film, like Skrein seemed to be playing fairly straight.
Yeah, but I don't know if he can pull off this unintentional comedy, you know.
Yeah. Well,
no, of course he has also been in Game of Thrones, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he basically he's the one that Daenerys Targaryen wrote. But he got actually
good man. Well done.
But he got changed out for another actor at the start of the last season. So he only was there for 3 episodes, I should say.
Poor Ed Skrein.
Yeah. Well, at least he's got this movie anyway. So he's replacing someone instead now.
Yep. All right. You are now stepping into a strange part of the podcast. Do not adjust your internet. Welcome to the spoiler zone. And this week, it's going to be Interstellar, which originally apparently had a way darker ending, according to some news that came out this week. Which, for anyone who's seen the film, at the end of the film, Matthew McConaughey basically kind of dives into a black hole, and then uses gravity to communicate with his daughter in the past.
Yeah.
Using an Einstein-Rosen bridge. But in Jonathan Nolan's original ending, the Einstein-Rosen bridge collapsed when he tried to send the data back.
Yeah, like I think I heard this, but apparently, like, it's not exactly clear whether or not the actual information still got out.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've seen people say that it would have been a cynical ending, but
that's true. Yeah.
That being said, I mean, Interstellar, its ending, it introduced as many questions as it answered about time travel stuff. I mean, I feel like time travel is sort of, we've mentioned this before, it's like using magic.
Yeah, you have to use it wisely.
Yeah. And I mean, as cute as it was to link all that stuff back, I still feel like someone sneaked up behind the film around the end and sort of shit-fisted it.
Yeah, it does end a little too, ties it up a little too well, but I still loved Interstellar, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it ended up as one of my top 10 films of last year.
Yeah.
Despite how I feel about the ending, just because it was fantastic. But I'm curious to see why. I assume it just didn't end like that for no reason, and I'd really love to see that draft of the screenplay and see what they were going for. Because, the whole message or the whole character arc that they were going for, it didn't quite jive with me. Once they started going into time travel and sending himself the coordinates.
I think I almost got over it, to be honest.
Yeah, but I feel like at that point I felt like I was being pandered to, or not me necessarily, but people in the audience were being pandered to.
Come on, Ferg, are you not impressed? I'm always impressed, Mr. Nolan.
Yeah, obviously Chris Nolan, one of the best directors out there, but
it was a bigger flaw, I suppose.
Yeah, I left it, and it was basically I loved every piece of that film except for a bit like about 10 minutes before the end of the film. There was a stretch of 10 minutes there where it just it collapsed.
It got exposition heavy, like.
Yeah, it got really exposition heavy. With stuff that we'd kind of known since the start of the film, if you were paying attention. So
yeah.
I don't know. I really wish that there was a cut showing this ending, but that obviously would have involved a complete retooling of the film to support that ending.
Yeah, that's true, I suppose.
So I might try and track down like a copy of that script online, actually, just to see what it was like and how they were supporting that ending, where they were going with that.
Yeah, it'd be intriguing. And well, I guess that's that for episode 11 of the Idiot's Odyssey. I've been Owen Murphy. You can find me on Twitter at OwenM1990.
And I've been Fergal O'Connor. You can find me on Twitter at InterSpammer.
And you can also find the podcast on both Twitter and Facebook at Idiot's Odyssey. And you can send us an email at idiotsodysseypodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and you can also find the show notes for this episode on idiotsodyssey.com.
/IO11.
Yeah, and don't worry if you can't remember the letters and numbers. It's very well signposted.
Yeah. And thanks for listening.